Breaking news, Eagles Nation. Now listen, there's something big might be brewing in Philadelphia, and this isn't just another rumor. It's the kind of move that could shake the entire foundation of what we thought we knew about this team. But before we dive into this potential blockbuster story, make sure to hit that like button, because your support keeps this channel flying high, and it shows you're with the team through every high and every low. And I want to know in the comments, who's been an Eagles fan for over 40 years and bleeds green and white? If that's you, drop a comment below and let everyone know you've been riding with this team through it all. Now, take a deep breath, Eagles fans, because if what's being reported turns out to be true, this could change the course of the entire season. Let's go, Eagles Nation. It's time to uncover what's really happening behind the scenes with the Philadelphia Eagles. Go Eagles! Something big might be brewing in Philadelphia, and it's the kind of story that could shake up everything we thought we knew about this team. Reports are emerging that the Eagles could be targeting a blockbuster trade for one of the league's premier tight ends, Mark Andrews, of the Baltimore Ravens. Now that caught a lot of people off guard, because Andrews has been the heartbeat of Baltimore's passing game for years. But according to Eric Williams of Fox Sports, the Eagles are among a handful of teams expected to be active before the November trade deadline, alongside the Rams, 49ers, Bills, Seahawks, and Patriots. And here's where things get really interesting. Philadelphia was specifically mentioned as a potential landing spot for Andrews. Think about that for a second. You pair him with Dallas Goedert, and suddenly this offense has another elite red zone threat, one who's proven he can handle double coverage and physical play. So why would Baltimore even consider moving him? Well, the context tells a story. Andrews is on an expiring contract, and the Ravens have already been high on Isaiah Likely, a younger tight end they see as the future. Add in the fact that Andrews didn't exactly end last season on a high note, with a rough playoff outing against the Bills, including a dropped two-point conversion and a fumble, and you start to see why the Ravens might be open to listening. There's also this. Baltimore's 1-4 start this season, and an injury list that keeps growing, have them flirting with the idea of a retool rather than a push for the playoffs. They even signed C.J. Gardner-Johnson, yes, the same C.J. who was a spark plug for the Eagles' Super Bowl run, to their practice squad this week. So for the Ravens, moving a veteran like Andrews could be about freeing up space and getting something before he walks for nothing. From the Eagles' side, it makes perfect sense. Tight end depth has quietly been an issue.
Backup Grant Calcaterra just hasn't developed into the kind of reliable second option the offense needs. It's not about his hands, he can make the catch. The real problem is blocking. When Goddard's off the field, the run game takes a noticeable hit, and the passing attack loses one of its safety valves and protection. This season, Calcaterra's oblique injury has only amplified that weakness. Meanwhile, Andrews still has gas left in the tank. He's caught 17 of 21 targets this season for 150 yards and 2 touchdowns, and while he's not quite the dominant All-Pro version from 2021, he remains a serious mismatch nightmare in the middle of the field. Just look at his production over the past 4 years: 55 catches, 673 yards, 11 touchdowns in 2024, and that's after missing time in 2023, when he still managed 6 scores in 10 games. A consistent red zone weapon. And because he's on an expiring contract and the Ravens were already trying to move him once, his trade value might not be sky high, possibly a mid or late round pick. That's the kind of low-risk, high-reward move Howie Roseman loves to pull off when the rest of the league isn't paying attention. Now, while the trade rumor is heating up, the Eagles are also juggling a short week ahead of their Thursday night football showdown with the New York Giants. And there's some big injury news. Saquon Barkley, who was originally listed as a non-participant, has now been upgraded to limited and says he's looking forward to playing Thursday. That's massive. He's been dealing with knee soreness, but the signs point to him being active, and you know how much energy he brings when he's on the field. The question now is, can Philadelphia's run game finally start clicking? Because here's the surprising truth. For all the talent they have, the Eagles' ground attack has been one of the biggest frustrations this season. It's not for lack of trying. They rank 7th in rushing play percentage and 8th in attempts per game, 28.4, yet they're only 25th in rushing yards per game, 99.8, and 29th in yards per carry, 3.5. That's not what you expect from a team built around physical dominance at the line of scrimmage. And here's the kicker. The Giants' defense is one of the worst in the league against the run, giving up 5.3 yards per carry and 140 yards per game, both bottom 5. That means there's absolutely no excuse for this offense not to get back on track. If ever there was a chance to make a statement, this is it. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, there's been movement on the defensive side too. Nakobe Dean's practice window was reopened last week. Defensive coordinator Vic Fangio said Dean has a chance to play Thursday night after tearing his patellar tendon in the wild card game against Green Bay last season. The staff will likely ease him back slowly, but that linebacker room is already one of the league's biggest surprises. Jair Campbell and Zach Bond have been tremendous, forming a dynamic, blitz-happy duo that's helped Philadelphia stay aggressive even when the pass rush hasn't fully clicked. And speaking of that pass rush, the fact that Zadarius Smith, a midseason signing off the street, leads the team in sacks says a lot. The Eagles' edge pressure has been inconsistent, and Fangio might look at creative rotations to fix it, maybe even mixing in Dean as part of a 4-3 look, with Campbell and Bond shifting between linebacker and edge duties. It's a fascinating wrinkle to watch, but maybe the biggest story of all, the one that could define whether this offense turns the corner, happened not on the field, but behind closed doors. Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, and Saquon Barkley held a private meeting, just the three of them. According to Jimmy Kempski of Philly Voice, the trio talked for hours about getting on the same page. No coaches, no cameras, just accountability and leadership. We don't know exactly what was said, because everyone involved kept things in-house. Barkley told reporters it was about the team. Hurts said it was about the collective, but sources around the locker room have hinted that tension between Hurts and AJ had been building. The chemistry that once looked unshakable hasn't quite felt the same. Remember, Hurts was literally the quarterback at Brown's pro day, throwing him passes before the draft. He's also the godfather of one of AJ's kids. These two go way back. So, when AJ took to social media recently to vent frustration about the offense, it raised eyebrows. Still, let's be clear, AJ Brown has thrived with Jalen Hurts. Every single year since coming to Philly, he's been over 1,000 yards and made an all-pro team. That's no accident. And if he ever thought about wanting out, well, Howie Roseman's not trading him somewhere with an elite quarterback. That's not how this front office operates. You'd be more likely to end up with a struggling team and worse QB play. This meeting, then, might have been the moment this locker room needed, a chance to reset, to remember that this is a team built on chemistry and trust, not individual stats or frustration. And before we wrap up this first part, let's address something that might sound small, but it's actually a major reason why this offense has looked so out of sync. Analyst Denise Selman broke it down with some sharp data. The Eagles are snapping the ball later than any team in the league, with 5 seconds or less on the play clock more often than any team in the past 3 years. That means defenses get extra time to read alignments, adjust coverage, and basically predict what's coming. It's a huge tell. And here's the wild part, this isn't new. The Eagles have always been slower under Nick Sirianni, but 2025 is on another level. It's a complete outlier. Offensive assistant Kevin Patullo was asked about it and dodged the question, saying only that we just have to get better. But that lack of urgency could be costing them games. It leads to delay of game penalties, predictable play calls, and that frustrating feeling we've all seen when the team gets to the line early but just stands there while the clock ticks down. That needs to change. And maybe, just maybe, that meeting between Hurts, AJ, and Saquon was the spark to get everyone back in sync before it's too late. But what do you think, Eagles fans? Should Philadelphia pull the trigger and bring in Mark Andrews? Would that be the missing piece to reignite this offense? Or do you think the answers are already in the locker room, waiting to click? Drop your thoughts below, because this could be one of the biggest turning points of the season. And let's be honest, this next stretch of games could define everything. Thursday night against the Giants isn't just another divisional matchup. It's a test of identity. A team with Super Bowl aspirations doesn't limp through the first 6 weeks trying to find itself. It takes command. And right now, that's exactly what Philadelphia needs to do. Let's rewind for a second. We've seen this team at its best, physical, ruthless, explosive. But lately, it's been inconsistent, unpredictable, and oddly hesitant. Every drive feels like a coin flip between dominance and disaster. You can feel the frustration building, in the huddle, in the stands, and yes, even in the locker room. That's why that Hurts, Brown, Barkley meeting mattered so much. It wasn't just about X's and O's. It was about accountability. The leadership core finally putting egos aside to fix what's broken before it spirals out of control. Because here's the truth, the Eagles' offense has lost its rhythm. Statistically, it's not catastrophic. They still move the ball, they still have weapons, but the timing, the urgency, the flow, it's all off. And when your quarterback, your top receiver, and your star running back all feel it, that's a signal something's wrong deep in the system. Part of the problem lies in the tempo. When you're snapping the ball with only 3, 2, even 1 second left on the play clock, you're letting the defense dictate the rhythm. Analysts like Denise Selman have pointed out how this has become one of the most extreme tendencies in football, not just for this season, but for any team in recent history. That's not a coincidence. That's a pattern, and patterns like that get exposed by smart defenses. It's one thing when it's happening once or twice a game, but when it's happening on key downs, like that third down sack and the illegal shift penalty against Denver, it's a killer. You're giving away opportunities. You're turning drive-sustaining moments into wasted downs. That's the kind of small detail that separates a good team from a championship team. And you can see it in the player's body language. Hurts hesitates, linemen shift late, motions look rushed. That's not the sign of an offense that's in sync. Even Jordan Mailata called it out before the Broncos game, saying the team needed to get the ball snapped faster. That kind of comment doesn't come from nowhere. And while we're talking about things that need to speed up, let's not forget the defense. Vic Fangio's unit has been solid at times, but the pass rush just isn't what we're used to seeing in Philadelphia. Think about it. Zadarius Smith, a veteran who wasn't even on the roster to start the season, currently leads the team in sacks. That tells you everything. The young guns on the edge need to step up, because the Eagles' reputation is built on getting after the quarterback. That's what defines this city's brand of football. That said, the linebacker play has been a revelation. Jair Campbell looks like a future star, fast, instinctive, physical, and Zach Bond has turned into a versatile chess piece for Fangio, capable of rushing off the edge or dropping into coverage. If Nakobe Dean can return healthy and find a role without disrupting that chemistry, this could quietly become one of the strongest linebacking groups in the NFL. Fangio hinted at possibly experimenting with 4-3 packages, which could unleash all three at once. That kind of flexibility could be crucial against run-heavy teams like the Giants. And speaking of that matchup, Thursday night is loaded with storylines. Saquon Barkley facing the Eagles in prime time after that private meeting adds an emotional